I said, do you understand me? Officer Dell? Gary?
I'm sorry, Doc. I thought I could do this, but I can't.
See, Dr. Reeder isn't just a doctor. He's a man on a mission, working alongside Bruce Wayne to mend the lives torn apart by Gotham's greatest monster, the Joker. Now, Dr. Reeder wants to save his patient from the clutches of this monster. To help convince Officer Gary, Reeder dives into a story from his childhood. Every night before Dr. Reeder fell asleep, he would stare at a flower on his bedside cabinet. But this flower wasn't ordinary at all.
My grandparents had come from the old country as hiders. Animal hides used for bookbinding, gloves, canteens. They were self-made, and when I was a boy, they gave me a flower made of different hides.
Although a treasure of the family, this flower terrified Reeder to the bone. His brother used to joke that the flower was made of human skin and one day it would come for his face too. Reeder couldn't get the thought out of his head. Until one night, he had enough and disposed of the flower, flushing it down the toilet.
Look, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but
But nothing. Look, I've treated dozens of his victims, and this is the most important step. Do you have your mask with you?
yes.
Sensing something wrong, Dr. Reeder realizes that Gary doesn't want to heal. To Gary, healing meant that the Joker might return to finish the job. He couldn't risk that.
This is what he does, Gary. But he's just a man.
This was my fear, though. He knew. I was always in vain about my teeth.
But Dr. Reeder doesn't buy this story at all. He explains that the Joker's attack wasn't personal. Gary was just another victim on the Joker's list.
It's genius, the brilliance of the Joker's gag. The woman who was electrocuted was always afraid of lightning. The boy who was made white and green was afraid of being the class clown. The Joker has convinced people that he is more than a man. He's transformed himself into the monster under the bed, one who brings your greatest terror to life. But he's not crazy and not some demon. He's just a very smart man.
Dr. Reeder recalls a time when he accompanied Bruce on a trip to the hospital after the Joker was returned by Batman. He was covered in bandages, nothing more than a broken man, a simple body of flesh.
Please, Gary, keep the mask on. Here.
I'll pay you back for the mask. I'm good for it.
After calling Bruce to inform him that they lost another one, Reeder heads home and gets ready for bed. Tucking himself in, he notices something peculiar in the corner of his eye. A flower, an exact replica of the one from his childhood, was placed at his bedside. Grabbing it, Reeder struggles to understand who could have broken into his house. He begins to panic, looking for bugs planted in the office. At last, he brings the flower close to his face, intently studying it. Suddenly, a green acid shoots from the petals, instantly burning through Reeder's flesh. He collapses on the floor, and in his final moments, recognizes a familiar psycho grin glowing from underneath the bed.